Admiral Markets. So glad that you could join us today on the 15th of August, 2013 here on Thursday. Before we look at the charts and the market and take a look at if there's anything interesting to analyze and trade, we have to explain that trading global financial markets is considered high risk. It may not be suitable for all investors. Please seek advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. And this video and webinar is for educational purposes only. So thank you for your attention on this. Let's move over to a quick explanation. Once again, this is a live trading room and hosted by Admiral Markets. My name is Chris. And today we're going to take a look at intraday trading. On Thursdays, it's intraday. If you're more of a swing trader, we're going to take a full analysis on swing trading opportunities on Tuesdays, as always. And Wednesdays, we kind of mix it all up. Tonight, we have an educational webinar, by the way, at 5 p.m. London time on chart patterns. Definitely recommend to take a look. And otherwise, we're going to be taking a look at breakout strategies. Make sure to follow Admiral Markets in the social media. And let's take a look at the economic calendar. Alrighty, we got retail sales coming up. That's a pretty hefty impact. A pity because I think the pound is quite an interesting spot with some potential, but we can take a look at it still. The news event is still 1 hour 40 minutes from now, so I'm not sure of how much movement we'll have before that news announcement, I'm afraid. So we'll have to see. But maybe it could be wise to put this intraday actually a bit later, the session itself, because if the pound has a news announcement, for example, the market could be quite quiet until then. A bit tricky always with those news announcements and intraday trading. Always maybe, yeah, it could be a bit better after that, but we'll have to see. Alrighty, let's take a look at later on USD core CPI, USD initial job claims, and then the Philly later on. Moving on to our charts. We kind of have a bit of a mixture, I think, in the USD. We saw the USD strengthen a bit against the Aussie, against New Zealand, against the pound, against the euro, especially against the euro. It fell pretty nicely, right? We saw actually a bounce back up. So I was really saying yesterday the danger of these breaks here, and the fact that when we broke 132.50, we still even slammed into a 132.30 bottom and then a 132 even support. So that's always a bit tricky. There was not, we can see that that bottom did not break, and that caused the spike up. In Elliott wave terms, we had an ABC up. It's always good to know a bit about Elliott waves because you realize that a thing like that is possible. Let me just open my drawing tool. I realize that I don't have it open yet, actually. Okay, there it is. So yeah, we made that fall here. That was expected, but we couldn't break this bottom. So that's why it's always good not to realize that bottoms sometimes do not break. It's not always a guarantee. We moved up, we moved sideways. So if you were in a short, there's no reason to stay in short over the night during Asian session here, unless you're making a swing trade, of course. That's something else. We spiked up. So we kind of got that, as I say in wave terms here, this ABC motion, okay? And maybe the entire thing is now a bigger ABC. In any case, we're back to resistance. You can see the R3 is a bit above, looking at our pivot points here. So not much space to the upside, I would say, quite limited. In fact, I think we're at a resistance that we could fall. Is that interesting to fall? Well, quite tricky position. We have a trend line maybe like this coming in, so we could maybe fall to the trend line, but that could be a support area for a bounce here again. The best, maybe the sweetest spot, but it's very small, is between the L4 and S1 and then the S2 here, right in here, between 132.30 and 132. But it's very small and there's not much space really. Partly, of course, has to do with the fact that it's August. Still very thin, the liquidity, and the market is not seeing those bigger movements, I would say. I think the pound is set a bit better, so maybe we can take a look at that. But I'll just finish the euro quickly to making the total analysis in one shot. So yesterday actually was a very small inside day candle. It was really nothing substantial. We already actually broke yesterday's high, but that was in the Asian session. Very funny. So this could potentially turn into a wick and a down day, maybe. Let's see. This level 132 definitely a support level, and we're above the moving averages. Okay, we're above that band, so we have to see how the price responds to this level here. If we break 132, 131.90 here, then we're going into more clearer downside territory. Above is still a bit, I would say it's still a downtrend at the moment on the euro dollar. Looking at the 4-hour chart, but the day chart, you can see that the support is not totally out of the way. And for actually the downside on the 4-hour, 133.17 is very important, because if we break above 133.17, we're in fact an uptrend on the 4-hour chart. So we're kind of in limbo here, caught in the middle. But looking at the 4-hour chart, I would say more downside pressure. 1-hour chart, price is already above the moving averages. And that shows us that if we do drop here, we could actually bump into support first before we might break the downside. Okay. You can see that the table has turned on this 1-hour chart, and in fact, any downside could bump into support. Could. Doesn't have to be, but there will be probably a bounce there. So not that clear. Everything is a bit mixed. It's not a clean setup, I think. Not much space either. Let's see. There could be maybe a 20 pip drop here. So let's investigate that. Let me take a look at something else. Let me take a look at this oversold overbought indicator right here on the 5-minute world. $50-minute world. Looks like we could drop with these yellow and green ones. Let's see on this one how it looks like. We got red indicators here, red colored indicators, bearish indicators on lower time frames. The medium time frames is a bit more of a mix. Let me take a look at this trend indicator here. 4-hour chart is iffy. Let's see. Day chart has light green candles, indicating still an uptrend, but a retracement in the uptrend on the day chart. Okay, as we know. 4-hour chart showing gray candles. Technically, I think it's downside though, with gray candles, 1-hour green candles. So dark green candles. So that isn't a trending one. So it's quite quite iffy. I think a better trade would probably be a break of this trend line, personally. But we could see a fall here, make a bounce, and get a new pivot point right in here. It is possible. Let's keep an eye on it. Let's see, how does the pivot point look again? Pivot point, we're at above the R2. No, we're above the R1. You can see last night currency making a sprint from the R1 to R2 here. Let's take a look at the pound. Maybe that's a bit more interesting, okay? No, I didn't close the dollar cat because I was expecting this down move, as I was saying yesterday, because the 4-hour world didn't have a higher low. So there's always the potential of a retracement and then a bounce, hopefully a bounce. Otherwise it will be a losing trade. But so I stick to that plan. But if we do get a bounce on the 4-hour world, then I will move the stop loss underneath the 4-hour fractal. Okay, I recognize the potential of that downside, but I didn't act on that because it was a different time frame. I traded it on a 4-hour world, so I didn't want to make decisions based on lower time frame movements. So that's why. Yeah, New Zealand, great Raj. That's perfect. That was a nice 3-to-1, huh? I'm glad you got it. 50 pips versus 17 risk. And really went that entry was pretty good because it bounced off it like 3 times, and that was the exact turning spot, right? So that was cool. So I hope some of you got that. Yeah, it was spot on indeed. Great. Actually, the first dip didn't take us in, right? But then the second one was just a pip lower. Let's see, Adrian, the news. Well, you see, this is a swing trade on the 4-hour chart, Adrian, not a intraday trade. So the news will have an effect on the currencies, but if it's a swing trade, the whole idea is different. It will be influenced less. You could see some movement, but it will stay within the boundaries that we most likely have set up. So if you're swing trading on the 4-hour chart, the news effect on high impact news like the CPI is, NFP and interest rates, then of course, yes, it's good to be careful with swing trades as well. Not sure about why the euro spiked during the night. I don't think it was news. I can't. There can't be. I doubt that there was news event. I think it was just there was no downside there. There was, that. I think it was just technical. It was just no. The bottom couldn't get broken at 132.30. So I think the market makers saw a potential of taking profit to the upside there because there was no bearish continuation. There was space to the 133 resistance there. So I think if anything it was that the volume was low at that point in time, so it was easy to take it from the R1 to the R2 pivot point. Not much resistance in the market at that time on the euro dollar, so maybe something like that. who knows, to be honest. But, so the pound dollar. Yesterday, actually, we had a great trade. If you use this pivot point indicator from the S1 to the S2, the S1 was at 154.96, the S2 was at 155.46, and it went exactly to 155.46. So that was like a 45, 50 pip move there upon the break of the trend line as well. So that was a potential right there on the pound dollar. That was New York session. Right to the S2. And it was a good break of that trend line. We had a spike right in here and a spike here and then a hook back and continue. So that was a pretty good trend line, a nice angle. 4 hits, and we broke that trend line. So basically we made a higher high and a higher low on the 4-hour chart, and we have a trend line confirmed here on the 4-hour chart. Okay, with 3 hits, plus higher highs, higher lows. We broke the corrective downtrend channel, the bull flag pattern. We'll be talking about bull flags tonight, as I said. Sorry about that. We broke that white line there. And if you put a 1 at the bottom, it's kind of like a bull flag, right? So we broke that bull flag pretty good, because if you look at the 4-hour chart for our candle itself had a close near the high. The majority of the candle is above the trend line. That looks like a sustainable break to me. So it looks like a good bull flag break. It looks like a good higher high. It looks like a good higher low. We're already in an uptrend. So it looks like that dollar strength is not going to bring us too far. So it looks bullish to me. It's definitely an uptrend. It looks bullish. While the euro looks bearish, this looks bullish. And I would be looking for up trades. Now, do I want to go long right in front of a high at a top at 155.75? No, I don't. Even though it is bullish, you don't want to go long right in front of resistance. I don't want to go short right in front of support. You know, it doesn't make sense. It'd rather sit on our hands and be patient than, in my opinion, speculate on something that could happen and might not happen, and buy right at the top. We don't want to buy right at the top. We want to buy at logical support places. So one of those support places could be if we hook back to the trend line, for example. Maybe if we were to move back towards, you can see confluence here at these two trend lines. That's one possibility. I think even better would be if we break above the R1 and H4 spot right in here. We want to break above this top, I think, and then we have some pips here on the pound dollar to the upside. Technically speaking, if we look at the day chart, and we put a fib on this down move, let me make that white. You can see that the currency paused at the 382, at the 50, at the 618, at the 786. So what are the chances that we're going to pause at the 886 if we break the top here, of course? Pretty high, definitely, right? So that's our target, 886. That's my target at 156.40. So that is the trade I'm looking for today, basically, okay? Right in here, this 60 pips. And that 86 could be a big bouncing spot. And because this could still be a potential wave 1, this could be a very deep wave 2, which is usual, all the way to the 886, wouldn't surprise me. And we could see maybe a bigger fall. So that's something that probably will not happen before the news event, I'm afraid. But that's the trade I'll be looking for today. So I hope that makes sense. That's all really. I don't think there's really anything else to say about this. Maybe we can take a look at the day candle. I didn't look at that yet. Daily candle, you can see pretty good daily bar. Day candle closed with a bit of a wick, but nothing major. Let's see, we got a question here. What do you think now? Should go for long or wait for short? I'm looking for long, but not right in here because I would rather get a better spot, basically, right? As I was saying. That could be if we drop to this area, because there you can see those trend lines. You can also see a L3 long point. That could be a bouncing spot. Could also be when we break H4 and the R1 and the top here, right? Both spots make sense. I think this makes more sense than the euro somehow, in my opinion, but euro seems very tight in its range. Now, if we reach the 886 at 156.40, yeah, that's definitely an area where you know it's valid to think about shorts, because that's the 886 of the daily chart. So that's a huge level. The likelihood of a bounce is high, very high. Just depends how you want to enter it. Do you want to enter an entry order with a random amount of pips? Because we could even use the top of the day chart, but then the stop loss is a bit bigger. 156.40. The stop loss would have to be at 157.60. That's 170 pip stop loss. Seems big maybe, but then again, if you realize that the target could be all the way at minimum at 146 basically, then it's still a 8-to-1 trade, I think. Adrian says that the news could break that resistance. It sure could. Definitely might have that potential. I think if the news were to be negative, we might see maybe that drop back to support. I think technically we probably have a very decent chance of breaking that high. So if it's a news event or not, I think eventually we will break it. But I don't want to bet on that right now because it doesn't give me the reward to risk I'm looking for. Raib, I'm not sure what you mean with the last comment, but indeed 156.40 is 886. That's a good shorting area, definitely. Alrighty. Maybe we can find another intraday trade, something that could be happening right now, besides euro and pound. We're falling in the euro, breaking this 5-minute consolidation. Could fall, but I don't know. It's not a big fan of it. Alrighty. Let's take a look at something else. Let's see how this euro dollar breaks. So now it's just pushed through a pip through that level. So let's keep an eye on it, though. Could be it could stay choppy. So it'll be important to see how it breaks as well, because otherwise it could just flutter around there and go up a few pips, go down a few pips, and not that nice to be in that. So let's see if there's anything else on other currencies that maybe we can trade intraday. So as I said, dollar CAD, it has that, right? Don't be alarmed, because it has that potential to hook back here, to do this, to get that lower high. That's always works like that. Now it might not, and who knows? It might be something different. You know, that's tough luck. This is actually like something like that. Well, then it's going to break that uptrend channel, and we don't want to be in a trade. Then we want to exit it here, because currency is doing something different. Right? That's the risk of the game. That's why we want a good composition if we're right, and we want to lose small if we're wrong, because that's always possible. But looking at the entire currency setup, right, the day chart, we're right at the bottom of an uptrend channel, so support could kick in at any moment, basically. So I would be only looking for, I'm only interested in upside because of that day trend channel, the bottom of the day trend channel right here. Now, technically speaking, I would never want to go short that close to a trend channel bottom. Okay? It just doesn't, it's just not disciplined. It doesn't make sense. It's just speculation, kind of gambling. Unless you're trading the 1 and 5 minute chart and scalping it maybe down here, I don't know. But otherwise, anyone who uses a bit of multiple time frame analysis, any retail trader should not be looking for downside here, unless you really break that uptrend channel. Okay, it's just a matter of patience and discipline here. And anyone who wants to take that has something with probably greediness, because really there's nothing to do there, in my opinion. Okay. Yeah, we can take a look at the dollar. That's a good idea. Alrighty. So let's move on to something maybe that is interesting instead of not interesting. Yeah, the New Zealand dollar did very well for us, but now it's getting quite to a top, and I don't like to, as I said, I don't like to go, longs right in front of those levels. So that kind of disqualifies the New Zealand automatically, so we can move on. Just a quick recap though of that trade yesterday, because I have to admit I liked it. So, but it's also good to learn from it. We had an entry order right in here, right? And that was sweet, because the second dip here took me in. Still made a deeper hook back, but then we got it right to target here. Then we got a bigger consolidation, in fact, right in here, and we got another continuation. So the stop loss was 17, and this was the target. Nice 3-to-1 trade. But now, nothing, in my opinion, because it's already moving. So, and we broke this level. But I would, stop loss would have to be here, and the target, in my opinion, the target is here, right? Because that's the key daily top. I don't want to assume a break of a top, so that would be my target, logically speaking, which is 80.96. Now that is only 25 pips target, but it's a 50 risk. Yes, exactly, Raj. No reward to risk. Bingo. Great job there. So let's move on. How about the Aussie dollar? Sorry, I promised Predrag the Aussie. Just have to find it first. Yeah, we were breaking yesterday, right? And we chose the New Zealand, the Kiwi, but this was breaking as well. Kind of made a dip back, but then still pushed up. So that was, yeah, that was not bad. I mean, it was an okay trade, right? Because it's doing pretty well now. I say okay because the space was in a way limited, right in here. I mean, we have a bigger trend line coming in, so it's not like we had massive amount of space on the Aussie, but actually it didn't hit that trend line yet. So, but you can see that we're pretty close, right? It's 30 pips away, and the top is at 50 pips away. If we look at the smaller time frame, though, we see kind of a small bull flag here. That could see that continuation up, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, in general, indeed, Raib, I don't like the fact that we're that close to resistance, as you can imagine. And if I look at this downside, it looks like 5 waves. I know that we don't have many elite wave fans, but this kind of looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have again a 5 wave here for 5. That would signal more downside if that were true. I wouldn't bet the farm on it just based on that, but it does look like that. Let's see. And in fact, maybe we finished the 5 wave C here. Tricky, 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 tricky. Adrian is saying that the reward to risk is like a 1-to-1 here. Maybe if you indeed use the 50-minute channel chart, if we were to break this level here, $91.77, $91.80, it's like 18, 20 pip. Yeah, I probably indeed 1-to-1. Yeah, right, but indeed, Australian government went bearish indeed. I wouldn't think it's for me 1-to-1 is not worth it. So close to a trend channel, and in combination with, well, that alone is already enough for me, but also in combination with the other wave, I wouldn't take it personally. Must be something better going on. I would keep on searching for something better. Actually, in fact, it looks like we're doing the opposite now. It looks like we're falling. That fall could be good, but it's a bit early still. There'll still be other moments where the market could be short. Probably better to. It could be a small fall, but we do have a 1-hour support here. So I think if we do something like this, the next fall is better. Okay, Anish, we'll take a look at We'll take a look at that. Okay, we'll take a look at OddCat as well. Adrian is saying it could make a double top. Double top. Yeah, it's possible. It could go all the way to 192, 92.17. If that is your take profit, that could make sense. So it definitely depends, what you find important on the chart, of course. If you don't, it depends. If I find this trend line important, so I wouldn't assume a break of that. That's why. So it depends how you look at it. That's true. So let's move on. Personally, yeah, I can see, the reasons for it. I wouldn't want to risk my capital there somehow, but that's just, my personal opinion. So anyhow, let's move on then. People know about this, the potential idea, so that's good. Someone's saying it looks like Libusha is saying it looks like a heart graph. I'm not sure what that means in fact, but let's see. Sounds funny though, but what else can we look at? They all seem to be in a tricky spot here. Pound odd has this pretty good trend line here. Let me take off the rest. We got a green, dark green there, indicating a good resistance. A break of that line, I think, would be a good trade to the upside. We're back at support on this 4-hour chart, as you can see. So if we break that, that could be maybe a potential. Let's see. But we're far away from there, and at the moment I wouldn't want to be trading anything within these two lines because we're halfway anyhow. So that's nothing going on there. Let's move on. Euro odd is breaking that uptrend line, but we have a support at 144.45. So it's kind of now it's in a no man's land in a way. It's not in an uptrend channel. It still hasn't broken that support. So I'm just on the sidelines, in the waiting mode basically. Let me look at that odd cat. Sorry about that. I forgot about that. Let me take a look. By the way, Graham, no problem at all. I'll just tell you that basically the euro dollar I think is quite tight. I think that the Asian session was used to bring the currency just up to from the R1 to the R2. Thin liquidity, easy to grab some pips there. But I think the up move is just to move back to resistance. One 4-hour chart at 133 is a major level. If we break that 133, the whole thing is looking differently. I don't think we'll break it today, though. It looks more like we're going to have a bearish down day, but it's going to be very tight spaces because the space between current price and maybe support at 132.60 small. Then if we break 132.60, maybe a small space to 132.30. If we break 132.30, there's a small space to 132, which is a daily support level. There's not much space. I think the pound actually looks better. If we break above 156, 155.75, we have maybe a 50, 60 pipper to the 886 at 156.40. Or if we move down back to support, I forgot the level, but just a tad down, then we could maybe find a bounce back up. We'll take a look at that just in a second. We'll go back to that, definitely. So this CAD daily chart, you can see we are in our band, which means that we're probably having a retracement, but the retracement is a bit deeper than usual, right? The retracements here, where we had light red candles, were not as deep. We didn't even reach the band. A few times just barely touched it here. Now we're really in the band. So still downtrend though on the daily chart. We're at resistance. 4-hour chart confirming that we're at resistance. Although we're also at support, because on the 4-hour chart, in fact, we have green candles. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that much. If you look at the past, any up move here was slammed back down. You can see. So that would be something similar now as well. I would say the most important is we break the 4-hour support, and that will happen when we break below 93.82. If we break below 93.82, we could see a continuation of the downtrend, because then when the day chart is in down mode, the 4 hours in down mode, and when we have that confluence, that's of course the best area where you want to trade it. Yeah, the AO is quite strong, so that is a bit of a good point there, Raj. It is the strongest measurement we've had for a long while, as you can see. So that could indicate maybe the first idea that maybe this downside is over and we're at a reversal, retracement, bigger retracement or reversal spot. Day chart is divergence. It's bad divergence though. It's not proper divergence on the day chart. On the 4-hour chart, maybe it is proper divergence. 4-hour chart, not really. In fact, there is divergence between these, but not between the most local bottoms here. There is actually no divergence there, but between the bigger bottoms there are. Let's see. Tricky. We're looking at the AO and comparing the bottoms, but I wouldn't say difficult. The AO is reaching the zero line here. Yeah, I would say we're at a talking spot. Let me say it this way. I think in that regard, the tops here and bottoms are both important. If we break above the tops, then maybe actually that's probably the first signal that we're getting that we are having a bigger reversal retracement. So I wouldn't touch it right here, because we're 30 pips away from that big top on the 4-hour world, and day chart, that doesn't make sense in my opinion. So yeah. So that's why I wouldn't be looking for longs here, because it's too close to the top. Yeah, basically a break of the bottoms, 93.80, that could be a 4-hour swing trade with an entry just below it and a stop loss above 94.80, and the target would be something like 91.80 or 92.80. Either a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 or 1.5-to-1, somewhere in here. That's a high probability trade, because even if this would be a bouncing spot in here like this, even though we get weakness, we still lock in that profit when we break the bottom. Now there's also, of course, the opportunity, maybe the chance that we go lower all the way to the 90s. Who knows? So you could target that as well. But then, of course, you have to realize that if we do something like this, you know, that you either be careful with the trade or you're not going to book profit. So there's less likelihood of booking profit. Let me say it this way. Yeah, that makes sense, Kalen. Anything around 92.40-ish looks like. Let me take a look. Should be fine, I would say. Or let me, instead of guessing, let me just put a fib on this. It's a lot easier. You see the likely bouncing spots are 618s and 786s potentially. Yeah, 786 is at 92.30. So that ties in with that 92.40 target. Great. And you can see that 1 hour chart, that 92.80 is important because that's actually, in the 1 hour world, we're in an uptrend. So once we break 92.80, we're cracking that 1 hour support and breaking it. Libusha, did anyone lose my chart? Does anyone else see my chart? Libusha lost my graph apparently. Okay, I got confirmation that others can see it. So not sure. That's maybe on your end there. Okay. So let's take a look at the yen pairs. Someone was asking, someone was asking for the yen. Let me take a look. Oh yeah, Raib. Okay. Looks like a head and shoulders a bit here. The neckline would be something like this. So a break of that neckline, I think, would be a good trade. We've been analyzing this EJ for long. We know that the move up was likely going to happen to retrace that downside, but we were also speculating on the fact that if it does move up, that could be actually a good turning spot for a big fall. And I think it could go down to 125, maybe even to 120. So that could be a pretty big fall here. But we do want to crack, we want to break this 129.60 zone in the lead. Yeah. So if I'm not sure if we break through it. That's something that the chart will have to confirm to us. Oh yeah, well the yens in general I think are going to be, I'm cautious with the yen in August here. Very, very cautious in general. So maybe only the EJ, because it's technically set very nicely. That's why I'm interested in other. Otherwise, I would be very careful. The others, I would not be looking at many yen pairs. I think August is always a tricky month with the yens in any case. Anyhow, August in general is tricky, and so I will not be trading them very heavily. But the EJ kind of an exception because it's to me so set so nicely. Yeah, that was a very tight range on the EJ indeed. Really very tight. Going sideways for very long indeed. Absolutely. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on, as you know, or for those of you who have been looking at our charts together for this week. So you can see how long it takes for stuff to materialize, because already here we were talking about a turn here for downside. So we got the turn here, but if you didn't catch that, then the break is also good, I think. So is there something now? Well, not now, because we're above there. I wouldn't want to go long personally here, because I have that bearish long-term vision here with the 4-hour chart trend line. So I'm only waiting for the break to the downside, not to the upside. Let's take a look at the dollar yen. Dollar yen, in fact, broke support, so any longs would have to really be above this resistance, these resistance levels here. Shorts could be good, but the currency is moving pretty slowly only. We are making lower lows, lower highs, so that might make sense. But as I said, I'm not that. That may not make so much sense, in the sense that I'm just careful with the dollar yen personally. But Deutschland, definitely Kiwi is at a resistance level, absolutely. $80.96 is a major daily top, so be careful of that. 81 level. 81 is a major major level there. Definitely want to be careful. Let's see if there's something else going on. Maybe what else is there left? In fact, Aussie, New Zealand, maybe. Looks like we're actually continuing this downtrend nicely. It's a pretty good trend line right there. Day chart definitely in the downtrend. 4-hour chart, nice correction. Or it's actually kind of a triangle, isn't it? Like that. But if we break that triangle to the downside, that would be great, because that's in the same direction as actually the trend. So break up the triangle in the same direction as the trend is always a great thing. It's a nice spread for the Aussie New Zealand. Only 3 pips. That's good. So yeah, that would make sense to me. Let's see. Break of this 133.37. Stop loss maybe above this 1-hour high, for example. That looks interesting. I think I'm going to wait though until we get a bounce in the 50-minute world, because the 50-minute world moved down 50 pips in one shot. So I think it's a bit oversold here, just looking at this 50-minute graph. So I think if it bounces here, maybe whatever it bounces, whatever that may be, and then the next break would be interesting. So this is actually, I think, a good one for today. I like that. Looking good to me. The downtrend on the day chart, the 4-hour triangle that could be broken to the downside. That looks good. Let's take a look at the targets here. 50 fib minus 618, for example, could be the target at 112.70. That is approximately 65 pips target. So you can see that it would be good to get a bit of better reward to risk, because at the moment the stop loss is 55. That's a one-to-one trade. So if we get a bounce here, which is probably going to happen looking at the current price action. Let's see if how this 50-minute candle holds. But this one-time shot, probably get a bounce. We'll get a stop loss somewhere here on the 50-minute world. That would be a tighter R2R there. Okay, so something like that. Let's keep an eye on this one. When we get the bounce, we can be more precise with that. What else? So Aussie New Zealand is probably the best one. Let's see. Let's take a quick look at our euro dollar and pound dollar again. In the meantime, Caitlin asked till what date we should be cautious. I think in general you could say whole August, but logically the last week of August, like the 27th, things are probably getting slowly but surely more into speed. Okay, so I'll dive into, slowly but surely the market will resume its usual thingy. Already. Eurodollar actually bouncing up. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. That would just be in a stuck small corrective range without any power. And you can see that the break was very, very weak. That's why I was really wanting to see how it breaks, because it moved down 7 pips and now it's already back to the same level. So nothing happened there. And you can see that our indicator here was big oversold reading as well. Now we're at overbought, but looking at the speed of things, I wouldn't want to touch it at the moment. Let's take a look at the pound. Graham, I think the pound is more interesting if we were, as I said, above 155.78, or if we go back to around 155.50, because there's a L3, but also two trend line, and there's a big confluence there. Probably a 50 fib too. Let me fib this upside here. Yeah, it's a 618 50 fib confluence right in here. Those could be support. So either above here, or if we were to bounce here. That's annoying, Lubusha. Maybe try to log out and log in again. So leave and come back. Because otherwise, there were definitely no one said any problems to have any problems with visuals, and I can see the audience view, and so maybe that could be a good tip. I hope that works. Okay. So that's just a recap there of the opportunity, but here, yeah, it's just quiet triangle being made here on the pound, right? Let's go back to other currencies. Dollar Swissy, maybe. Let's take a look at that one. Dollar Swissy. Looks like we're making a bull flag right in here. So that would be good if we break that bull flag to the upside. Then again, on the small time frames, it looks like we're making a bear flag at the bottom of the bull flag. Kind of funny. So, but that's just a very little space, because if we break that smaller bear flag, we just have a bit before we reach the bottom of the bull flag. But still funny to see that. So anyhow, a break of that bull flag would be interesting. Only shorts would be only interesting below 93.12 and a hook back, maybe something like that, because otherwise, yeah, below the bull flag, bottom of the bull flag, basically. Very slow market today, as you can see. Many things are either at major resistances, major tops, not moving, or 4-hour world in a downtrend, but price is right at the bottom of a daily support or daily channel. Nothing is really, that interesting, except for me the euro yen, of course, as you know. If it were to break to the downside, or Aussie New Zealand looks interesting. What else do you have left? We looked at all the euro and pound versus New Zealand Aussie there. I'm in a waiting mode on those. Yens, we talked about those already. Wait, let's see. I had a question on CAD, in fact. Let's take a look at that. I can't find it anymore. I think the question was if I change any of my numbers. No, they're still the same. Yeah, the trade setup basically, aiming for higher targets, so I didn't micromanage this part. I knew that there was a likelihood of a retrace, but I was just willing to live through it for the upside potential. So nothing changed there yet. Okay, so we have to see if that pans out or not. But that's why we're going. That's why it is always a good reward here, so that if it works out, we right away get a good compensation for that risk. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I remember Caleb. Yeah, I wasn't too fond of it, but it was possible indeed, as long as the stop loss, right, was the same spot. So that same setup in a way. Yeah, that's good. Exactly. Okay. I was a bit scared of this retrace in a way, but if it goes a lot deeper, it gets closer to the trend line. It could be maybe, I wouldn't say a good add-on spot, but that's risky too in a way. Let's see. I'll just hold on to this one and see how it goes. Dollar index had some upside momentum on the day chart, but you can see on a weekly chart that that's just actually respecting last week's bearish candle still. It was just an inside candle this week. Nothing that spectacular. We had some upside, but still in a basically that sums it up. We're in a downtrend on the dollar index on the day and 4-hour chart, but on a weekly we can see we're close to support. So which one's going to win? That's the question. Might be no one, in fact, because of the time of the year. And we'll just go sideways. Let's take a look at the Aussie New Zealand. Getting that bounce as we thought. Maybe it would have been even smart to go long, I don't know. But not my favorite trade to go long if I'm expecting a break, so I'd rather wait for the break personally. Let's take a look at other currencies, because otherwise we've looked at everything on this chart already. So let's see if there's something else that could be worth looking at. Maybe we can take a look at gold. Let's see what's going on there. So we're making a triple top. We're fighting against this 1347 resistance. I haven't broken it yet, so let's see if we don't break it. It could be still a big fall in the cards. If we do, then maybe something else is going on. We could get a bigger reversal. Okay, so let's take a look at something else. Euro pound. We could take a look at that. Maybe the odds we see as well. And the odds we see. Alrighty. First the odds we see. Day chart is back at resistance. It's kind of like the odd cat in a way. Here we do have daily divergence though. That could be proper divergence, let me say it this way. 4-hour chart here too, we have a pretty strong reading. Not as strong as the odd cat though on the 4-hour chart. And actually we're pushing up here on the odds we see. Interesting. Actually in this case we're breaking above this support already. Although if you look at the 1-hour chart, you can see that we're breaking in a rising wedge. So that's not a buying sign, that's a selling sign. A break above that support with a rising wedge is not something that I would consider a very interesting trade. We finished 5 waves, so in fact here too we could be still in a potential downside level, but or downside potential. The first thing we want to probably crack is this 85.20. But later on, we want to be below probably this level. So 2 major supports. Now, as you know, we should never be buying a rising wedge unless we really break out of the rising wedge to the upside or downside. If we were indeed to break maybe above this 85.70 zone, we could maybe continue up. This 85.70 is pretty major resistance as well. Look at this bottom here with 3 touches. I wouldn't be buying into that. I think it's better to wait for, probably better just to let it break. Excuse me. Let it break and hook back. Probably that would be safer. Otherwise, a break of this one and then a break of that one. 2-part trade in here between the purple lines, the lower pink lines, and below the lowest pink line, okay? So here too in a waiting mode at the moment. Let's take a look at the euro pound. A lot of waiting, I know, but that's part of the deal, unfortunately. Patience does reward, because there's nothing really to look at. I mean, there's nothing to trade, there's nothing to trade, because otherwise just taking risky trades that will not go anywhere and lose, so it's not worth it, believe me. Euro pound. Yeah, exactly, Raj. Otherwise it's gambling, absolutely. This is pretty interesting because on the monthly chart, I know it sounds, I don't want to bore you with the monthly chart here, but we are actually right at resistance. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can break. Is this a bull flag? Or is it a trend to the downside? Looking at the monthly chart, we can see a pretty big move up here, a massive move up, I should say. So to me, this looks like a wave 4. And we've had a 3 here, and a 2 here, and a 1 here, and we can go up here now, break for 5. Parity would be the target. That's an interesting trade. But then again, we are that before, assuming that we break the top of the bull flag, it could be a downtrend as well. And if that would be the case, we could continue in this channel to the downside, perhaps. And the number one moment for us to judge that is if we would break, for example, underneath this uptrend line. Okay, if we zoom in a bit more. If we break below there, maybe we can make this fall all the way back to the bottom of that channel. Yeah, good point, Raj. Absolutely. Don't forget the news event. That's now within 30 minutes, so we're reaching the area where you don't want to be trading it because of the news event, right? Within 30 minutes, that's when you want to be very, very careful because the market will even slow down more than it has been already, and it was already quite slow. So those are the two potential trades here, but I've been waiting for a very long time for both of them, in fact. This upside here or this downside here. So that's the long-term analysis. If you look at the day chart, you can see we've been stuck within those two lines forever. Ever since we hit the top here end of February. The euro pound has been bouncing between 84 and 87.50 for 6 months now. Very tight range. So we have some horizontal resistance, of course, right there. And right here. We have horizontal support as well, logically. Right here. And approximately right here. So that's the long-term analysis. Let's zoom into the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, of course, we're making a downtrend, lower lows, lower highs, but the downtrend is bumping into support here. We see it everywhere. Looking at the reward to risk, if anything, upside is interesting, but it's highly risky because we have downside momentum on the lower time frames. On the lower time frames, it looks like we need to break above 86 to get back into more of an uptrend here. 86 slash 86.20 there. And then we probably have a likelihood of this trade here. So within that bigger wedge that we're making, those black lines there, we could have a trade within the wedge. But the best trade, of course, is outside of the wedge. Within the wedge, that could be possible. Maybe even a small fall if we break it, but it's a very small space here. Not too keen on that. Right now, there's nothing to do because we're at the bottom of that black line. The only thing could be a speculative bounce, but it's dangerous because of the fact that we're in a downtrend on a smaller time frame. Okay, so that's why. So you can see, if by doing this, you can judge where the space is. That's our job. We have to judge where the detectives taking a magnifying glass and looking at a chart and saying, hey, where's the wide open space? Where do I want to trade it? Where do I think the currency has a chance of moving impulsively in my direction and hitting the target pretty fast? Because we don't want to be stuck in a trade and see it go back, go down, preferably, unless you're in swing trade, you always have that. But even with the swing trade, you don't want to be stuck there for 2 months. You want to take, if your normal swing trade is a week, you don't want to be there in 2 months. You want to have it closed in 1 week. What I mean is, with stuck is that it's longer than what is usual for that time frame. So, and then that's our job, to find those wide open spaces, and that's how we can do it like that. And we can use trend and support and resistance to identify, above what levels do we want to trade it for long or shorts. And you can make trade plans like this for every currency, right? It's also a good way to know when not to trade, especially, but also when it will be interesting, right? So, alrighty. So we hit the top of the hour here. Let's see if the Forex market has managed to speed up here a bit. Slowly but surely pushing up. In fact, we had a triangle in the 5-minute world, right? That has been broken to the upside. See that? We're talking about this smaller triangle. We broke, hooked back, and bouncing up, in fact. So yeah, it looks like we're pushing up. That's what we want, because that's the most interesting trade, I think. Let's hope so. You never know, but somewhere up here above 155 is most interesting. So the fact that we're moving up is good, I think. Even if we would dip down, of course, we know that that would be a good bouncing spot as well. Now we're just stuck in the middle, so yes, indeed, Raib. It's in the channel. Nice channel to the upside. And we have this trend line, in fact, we want to be aware of. But I think if we break the 786, we'll be going above it. You see, we're breaking that as we speak. If we adjust it a bit, then we're probably right at it right now. So if we go above R1 and the top, we're definitely breaking that pink line. If you look at the 4-hour chart like that, indeed, it could be a triangle, maybe. But to me, there are different lines. One trend line, the pink one, is really from the daily chart. The 4-hour, the purple one is really from the 4-hour chart. It's, I wouldn't say it's a triangle. Yeah, maybe, but triangles are more, I don't know, more like, this is a bit not in balance here somehow to me, but it's a matter of preference really. It's not that important. The fact is just that we're at a resistance spot, a resistance line, but we're in an uptrend. So if the uptrend is strong enough to break that resistance and go above the 786 and go above the S1 and push through the 155.80, then we'll most likely have a breakout trade to the upside. And you can see that the minus 618 target is lining up nicely with the 886 Fibonacci retracement here. Right there. Let's see what the euro dollar is doing. Nothing. Let's take a look at that calendar. We're expecting retail sales, right? So be careful of that. That's 23 minutes from now, so the market is going to really die down. But when we get that news event, the volatility will probably increase, and we could see a spike in either direction. I'm going to let that volatility die down, and maybe at the top of the hour look again at how the market is doing. Just the last question here from Raib, who's asking, or if you have any questions for me, let me know. Okay, take a look at that. Who's asking about the UK economy that is going well, and what I think about it. That this pair could face huge fundamental impact. Well, difficult to say. I really more focused on technicals for trading. Retail sales, definitely a good indication, of course, how much shopping has been done. So that would give an idea, as you know probably, but just making a general comment here, that that would give an idea how much purchasing has been done, how much confidence people have in the economy. So let's see if that has a good number, that could have eventually impact, on the entire economy. So that's why it's definitely high impact. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of figure that was, right? Let's see. I think we had some other pound news. Earlier on. What was that? Let's take a quick review of the pound news here. We had CPI 2.8, that was as expected on Tuesday. We had German GDP that was pretty positive. ZEW economic sentiment was pretty positive. USD retail sales was just slightly positive. Yeah, that's yesterday. German GDP was a bit more positive than expected there. Claimant count change was positive yesterday. Roger saying that with unemployment down yesterday, therefore sales will be up. So expecting pound positive. So beware of that. Makes sense. Yesterday unemployment up. Yesterday was Wednesday, right? Yeah. Claimant count change. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Anis, yeah, that's a good question. How does a full-time trader make a living in months like August? Difficult. I am positive on my account. I really am more careful of trading, but like the New Zealand, I took New Zealand CAD, New Zealand dollar, so those still were good trades for me to make some money. But definitely want to avoid overtrading, because the biggest way of losing money is overtrading. But if you're a bit more selective and snipe around, then the goal is just to break even. And if you sniper bit maybe more lucky, let me say it, or not even lucky, but more successfully, then you could even make a profit. But I would say avoiding overtrading limits at least the risk of losing. And if you pick a few trades that work well, then before you know it, you have a decent profit even. So it's not easy, but that's how it's gone so far for me this month. All right, so just one last question, and then let's see. The pound dollar, well, we've talked about the pound dollar, right? We said I'm looking for a break of 153.80 or a dip, right? Back to 150. Well, let me take a look now. I forgot the number, but 153.80. No, it's 150. I'm getting the numbers mixed up. 157.80. Excuse me. That was a long time back. 153.80, wasn't it? Or 154.80. So either 155.80 or 154.80. Back to support or a break, basically. But looks like we're getting a push through right now. As we said, the pound a bit more positive than definitely looking bullish, right? But we just want to break first. Raj, not sure why some traders like to focus on one and scalp indeed, up and down for a few hours and catch people like that. So by focusing on one currency, they don't miss an opportunity, because if you look around the multiple currencies, then there is that risk that you might not actually see the entry you're planning to take. If you don't want to take an entry order, then you could miss it, for example. That could be a reason. And if there's no opportunity to just one period, then you're locked out. You're striked out for that session indeed. Yes, indeed, Raj. Well, it really depends on higher time frames, I would say, Raib. If you're uncertain about the higher time frame, wait for breakouts, because then you got the confirmation. If you're more well set, and you see a good trend on the higher time frame, and you're more certain about a pullback, then you could use support or resistance as well, but maybe in combination with the price action confirmation, maybe, if you want more confirmation. Okay. High time frames means like 4-hour day chart indeed. Or if you're taking entries in the 5-minute, then even maybe 1 hour indeed. So thanks so much for those questions, and I wish you all good trading and a great rest of the weekend as well. I'm looking forward to seeing you tonight, where we have a webinar at 5 p.m. UK time. We're going to take a look at chart patterns, very interesting. In the meantime, I would like to give the word to Mihai. Welcome.
Welcome. Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much, Chris, for this lovely introduction. I will now, if you don't mind, switch screen to my computer. Good afternoon to all the traders out there. It's lovely to see you here today. My name is Mikhail, and I'm a client relationship manager for Admiral Markets. My job is to make the best possible trading environment for you. Today was a very lovely presentation by Chris, and I wanted to speak to you all about decision making. This is going to be the topic of today's presentation. Now, your success in the financial market, as all of you already know, is determined by the decisions that you make. However, different financial activities requires you to make a different amount of decisions. In some circumstances, all you have to do is to decide which trust fund will manage your investment. Some decide to construct a portfolio themselves and are faced with choosing, say, 20 different types of equities to suit their long-term investment objectives. Some people, they decide to actively manage their portfolio and adjust their investment from time to time to remain either beta neutral or, say, heavily beta exposed. Forex market, however, is the Cadillac of decisions. You're faced with a huge amount of decisions every single hour, minute, and second, you spend logged into your MetaTrader, which currency pair to choose, what limits to set, if any, to close a position with a small profit or loss, or leave it open expecting the market to make you a favor. There is no other financial activity that would put your decision-making skills to a test quite as often as Forex will. In fact, you're faced with an important decision as soon as you decide to register for an account. There you are, typing in your name and email when you're kindly asked to decide which account type you want to open. Remember the first time you've ever been in Starbucks. You come to Starbucks for a coffee. That's all you want, just a coffee. That is pretty much all you wanted. Suddenly, you're on the spot and you have to choose between a hazelnut cappuccinos, vanilla lattes, and chocolate frappuccinos. Each of them comes in 3 sizes as well. And you cannot get a medium or, say, forget about a large coffee. It has to be a venti or tall or something else. The first time I was at Starbucks, my embarrassment lasted for whole 15 minutes. There were too many choices. Later on, I went to Subway for a sandwich, just a sandwich. Needless to say, I spent so much time there, I was late for work for about an hour. Some Forex brokers do the same and offer you millions, 18, 20 different account types, and you have to choose between them once you register. We at Admiral Markets, we always try to have your best interests in mind. Therefore, we decided to keep it simple, to keep it short and sweet. When you try to register for an account with Admiral Markets, you get to choose between a standard and pro accounts. The choice is not that difficult, but it's very important. Therefore, I decided to take this time and explain the main difference between Admiral Standard and Admiral Pro. First of all, you must consider your financial objectives. If you're new to Forex and would like to see if you have what it takes to make it as a trader, think no further. Standard account is the one for you. The minimum deposit starts just at $10 and all your needs will be accommodated. Admiral Standards gives you an opportunity to trade currency pairs. 30 pairs will be available to you. You will also have an opportunity to trade commodities, indices, and shares. Our spread on major pairs starts at 1 pip and leverage is up to 1 to 500. And this large leverage will be granted to you if you want it. That means that no matter how small your initial deposit is, you will be able to enter in large trades in the Forex market with the sky being the limit of your potential profits. A pro account is different. As the name suggests, it is designed for Forex pros. If you're keen to describe yourself as a Forex professional, this might be very well an account for you. Needless to say, you need at least $1,000 to open such an account, but it should not be a problem for a Forex pro, or should it? The first thing you'll notice, the pricing is different. Admiral Pro pricing was reflected by fractional pips, and the spread starts from 0.1 pip. You'll have 27 pairs to trade with. There's going to be no CFD, just pure currency trading. In a sense, Admiral Standard is your production car, and Admiral Pro will be a sports version of the same car. We pretty much took all the stuff you didn't want, threw it away to make you go as fast as possible. And then we also ask you for a higher deposit. So how to choose between those two cars? Well, the good news is you don't have to make a decision and stick to it. Admiral Markets allows you to open up to 10 different accounts at the same time. You can have your pro account, your standard account, a bunch of managed accounts, all wrapped in the same package in your one trader's room. So no one stops you from trading DAX index on a standard account and then switching to pro to trade some currencies. Think about it as taking a production car to a shop and then taking your sports car to a racetrack. This is the same difference between the Admiral Standard and the Admiral Pro. The variety is there, All you have to do is use it to your advantage in the appropriate time. I hope that this made it a little bit clearer to you what account types are available for you. Once again, I give you all my information, my email, my phone number, and my Skype. If you would like to take connection with me at some point of time, please don't hesitate to do so. I'll be very happy to answer all your questions. As Chris has said, we're going to have one more webinar today at 5 o'clock Greenwich time. We expect all of you to join us. It's been a pleasure talking to you people. Have a great weekend and good luck with your Forex trades. It's been Mikhail Onahov. Goodbye.
The organizer